101.9 KINK inside the Bing Lounge today with Ethan John. Sir, hello.
Hello, Dave. How are you?
It's good to see you. Nice to meet you. New album is called If Not Now, Then When?
Yep.
Which sounds to me like it's a collection of songs that have been waiting to be recorded, and you're getting around to it now.
Partially. A lot of the material on the record's actually quite new. Was written in the leading up to recording and during the recording of the record. I've written for the majority of my life. I started playing at a very early age and was writing from a fairly early age too. So I've never really stopped the writing process.
Ethan is an amazing producer. Do you find that people initially know you more as a producer or as an artist and a musician?
Yeah, I mean, I think given that I've played on a lot of records and also toured quite extensively with some of the acts that I've worked with, I think people are kind of familiar with me as a musician, but certainly not so much as a writer.
Impressive list of credentials. He has produced Kings of Leon and Ryan Adams. On a totally personal note, I just have to say what you did with Tom Jones. He produced Tom's latest album, completely redefined and reinvented Tom Jones, with a little help from Tom, I would imagine.
With a lot of help from Tom, yeah. Couldn't have done it without him. Yeah.
Phenomenal work, though.
Thank you very much.
Phenomenal work. So, is this your first collection of songs on your own, solo songs?
Oh, it's solo songs, yes.
Yeah?
Yes, it is. I was in a band. I was in a few bands when I was younger. But yeah, this is the first solo effort.
So would I have to suspect you produced it yourself?
I didn't. No. I mean, I think the one of the main reasons why the record came into being, if you like, was when I realized that collaboration is really what it's all about. I think for an artist to be so insular and to think that they can produce themselves is probably not the best way forward. So, you know, when I realized that what I needed to focus on was being the singer and the songwriter, that's where my energies really needed to be, and I really relied on my friends heavily during the making of the record. I couldn't judge my own performances.
There's no one to tell you no.
What's that? Yeah.
There's no one to say no.
There's no one to say no, but there's also no one to say that's good. Because for you know, people like me, it was never, you know, I don't listen to the work that I do. So I have no idea whether or not what I'm doing is any good. I'm just doing it. So to have friends that I respect and trust, you know, to share the material with them and have them respond, I couldn't have done it without them, you know.
So who did get the gig?
Well, Ryan Adams helped me a lot. Laura Marling helped me a lot. I don't know if you guys know Laura, but she's an amazing artist. A friend of mine, Jeremy Stacey, who's a drummer, played on the Tom record. He's in the High Flying Birds, Noel Gallagher's band. Very good friend of mine, incredible drummer. He's also a great engineer, has a studio. He was very helpful. And a guy called Don Monks, who's the guy that's engineered most of the records that I've made for the last 6 years. Incredibly helpful. It's like total right-hand man. And then in the end, when I realized that there was a record, which really only happened probably about 2/3 of the way through the process, I was like, oh, wow, this is actually turning into a record. I'm going to need someone to mix it. And I thought for a little bit about who would be the dream guy. Well, a lot of the collaborators on the record was the same thing. I got a track called Red Rooster Blue. Who would be the perfect bass player for this track? If I had anyone in the world, who would I call? You know, and it was Bill Wyman,
the original bassist for the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, and of course, luckily, you know, because he was friends with my father, I had the opportunity to send him the song, and he wrote back and said he liked it and would love to play on it. So you know, everybody that has been so helpful to me. But Glyn mixed the record. My father, Glyn Johns, who's probably one of the best record producers.
Drop a few names: Rolling Stones,
you know.
Who.
I know. Yeah. I mean, it's.
Yeah. You know, just to drop a couple names.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. You could.
What was growing up like? I would imagine you had some pretty interesting stories with.
I've got a few. Yeah, but you know, my dad's a very. He's a real stand-up guy. A real stand-up guy. He doesn't tolerate any monkey business, which is, I think, why all those guys liked to work with him, because he knew how to get the work done and what was important, which is the music. It's not the lifestyle. And those guys need to be reminded that from time to time. So, you know, my household growing up was actually pretty normal, I think. You know, I mean, obviously I benefited tremendously because I was obsessed with music all my life. Someone would come round and, you know, Dad would say, yeah, it's a drummer. And I didn't know who they were or what they were. It was like, it didn't matter to me. He's a drummer. It's like, what can you show me? You know, how do you tune the bass drum? Or, you know, how do you do that thing with the, you know. So, I mean, obviously, I tapped into some incredible knowledge there, but I didn't know. They were just friends of Dad's that were musicians.
Nothing juicy like Keith Richards passed out on the kitchen table or anything?
You know, I've got some horrible stories, you know. That's what we want to hear. No, I mean, but, you know, it's not... You know what the thing is? It's interesting. Those are juicy stories, but that's the tragic side of rock and roll to me. And I saw a lot of tragic behavior that, for me, never made sense. I love music so much that if you hurt yourself to the point where you're unable to play, the glowing light in those musicians is their ability to play music, you know, and share that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I saw a lot of guys with, you know, stars inside them that shone so bright that were dimmed to almost non-existence through really silly behavior. I always sat around thinking, what are you doing to yourselves? You know, you can't play right now. You can't even stand up, you know. Never made sense to me.
Well put, sir.
Thank you.
Well put. That deserves a round of applause. That sums it all up. Well, thank you for coming to share the new music with us here today. We really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I love how talent is in the genes, quite obviously. Right there.
My very holy patched jeans.
One more time, Ethan Johns in the Bing Lounge.
Thank you.